Where do you find yourself?
Landscape.
You're seeing a landscape. Okay, what's in this landscape?
It's dark, low hills.
The sky is dark.
Everything is dark.
Mm. Does it feel like it's nighttime? Or is the sky just naturally a darker color?
Yeah, it's a different place.
Okay, and you say you see small hills?
Mm-hmm.
What are these hills like? Are they rock or are they covered in something?
They seem to be symbolic. It's like layers. I'm seeing them as another place, perhaps another planet, but also my mind.
Explain that to me a little bit more. What do the hills represent?
Layers of baggage and darkness, like old rags, old clothes that end up weighing you down and rotting you.
And the dark sky, what does that symbolize for you?
Not being able to see the light.
So if you look down towards the ground, what do you see directly below you?
Like a deep cavern with a cliff with water running, but it's all dark. And it goes down, down, down. It's a rocky, craggy cliff.
How do you feel seeing all of this?
I feel that this impending doom and darkness that I feel every morning that makes it hard to move forward. Where as a child, if something good happened, I would feel like it wasn't to last because the bad just keeps happening.
So why don't we invite your inner child, that child that you were when you had these feelings, why don't we invite her to join you now? And what age do you see yourself as when you felt this way?
8 or 6 to 8.
And was there a particular event that happened that caused you to feel this way?
The event's not clear, but I can see some things happening just with the parental words and yelling, and my inner child's trying to pull me away. She's the happy-go-lucky one. But I had this dream my whole life of this. It's like an earthquake and the earth is cracking open and I'm afraid of falling in.
Is there somewhere that your child would like to take you? Is there something that she wants to show you so that you understand?
To the meadow. There's literally just a line dividing the dark to the light and just crossing over that.
Well, let's follow her to the meadow and see what she wants to show you there.
As she brings me there, I feel it in my abdomen, the heaviness that resides there.
And what does she want you to know?
She wants me to let it go. There's a physical part of myself that has to leave and go back to that other dark side and bring with me my lightness, like her. Shed that darkness, that old self who was not brought up to doubt, but believes in doubt because of fear of lack.
So ask her how you can let this go.
She says to face my fear and stand on the cliff and hold on to the edge of the waterfall and have no fear, for I will not fall, and the water will cleanse me. And I dreamt of this recently. I was on the edge of Niagara Falls and I was scared, but I didn't wash away. I was able to hold on the edge as the water rushed over.
Can you transform that landscape now? Or do you need to do the cleansing first?
Well, even in the darkness, I could sense clairvoyantly that there was a blue sky if I looked for it. And now as she brings me to the meadow, things are lightening.
Okay. Well, you have the power to transform your world.
By facing my fears, which I've chose to do now, by taking all risks and having faith that all will work out in the end, which is really the beginning.
And you can paint your world with any colors that you like. What colors are you going to paint it with?
Red, yellow, blue, violet,
What do those colors symbolize for you? Why those colors?
crimson red of blood, life, healing, vibrancy, vibration, change, transformation.
And the blue? What shade of blue is that?
Royal blue.
What does that symbolize for you?
Calm, but also joy. Cleanliness. Balance, but energy. Clarity. Clear. Vision. Expansion. Do not be afraid of expansion.
And what does the yellow represent?
Lightness of a bird, sun, joy, love, healing, transformation again, becoming a beautiful butterfly.
And the violet.
Femininity, grace, stature, growth, expansion, vibrancy, renewal, embrace, envelop, grow, transform, transmute, eternity, and beyond.
So perhaps it's time then to get out your paintbrush, and you, along with your inner child, can paint your new landscape the colors that you choose.
I'm seeing now myself from the Egyptian time, when I was married prior to my husband. I am a goddess. I must look her in the eye. Feel her pain as she feels mine, and we come together.
So step right into her body and become her, become one with her. And describe what you're feeling.
Movement in my hips. She dances. Healing in my abdomen, even though it's uncomfortable. It feels heavy but light at the same time. The heaviness is leaving, but the light is coming in. Must open the throat. I keep feeling as if to gag.
Where does that feeling come from?
Being stopped. Shut down. Being made to shut up. Strangled, drowned, suffocated, beheaded, hung.
So this comes from many, many lifetimes.
Yes. And this last lifetime that's presenting right at this second. The head is actually sliced off and it's sitting above the neck a couple inches, and it's scaring them because my head is actually levitating on its own. It does not fall away. And the energy from my body is drawing it back, and they see that the body heals itself even if it is cut off. The energy is still there, and it can be reformed, reconnected. It's similar to a major surgery, attaching everything, every element, every capillary, artery, vein, bone, fat, muscle, ligaments, tendons, fascia, skin, auras, shifting back in place. There is some scarring, and there's heavy energy moving up, which is painful as it finishes healing, and the energy is shoving up so quickly up into the head it could almost explode, and the crown chakra opens up and releases, but also brings the light in, and it must close, making sure all that is not needed is out, closing off from all that is not needed, but the portal available only to open when necessary on my permission.
Is your throat chakra open and completely available for your use?
It's still sitting 1 and 2 layers too low. The throat is open, but the energy of the throat and the voice and the tongue are sitting below, and it's almost as if a plunger is needing to push it back up and get it into place.
Can you heal that?
Yes, the plunger is pushing it up, and it's as if the thyroid, it looks like my heart, it has fallen down, and it could fall into the cavern, and we need to catch it and bring it back up. Imagine as if I'm swallowing something, but it's coming up instead of down. So as it comes up, it begins to lodge itself in place, but it almost feels as if it's choking me as it occurs. But it is okay. It's just temporary. We must heal all the tissues surrounding it.
In what lifetime did this occur? That you completely healed your body, although your head was severed?
My 10th lifetime. The trouble with my words is connected to this severing and completely losing my head and my voice box and my voice and my thyroid and essentially my heart.
So who were you in that lifetime that you were able to completely heal all of that damage?
An Amazon woman, so tall, 7-8 feet tall, and they feared me, so they killed me, but I didn't die. They attempted. I was too powerful they panicked. Essentially symbolically connected to the male domination of the female species in cutting them off at the throat and shutting down their voice, because they're so powerful and can move us ahead into the future and into growth and into change and transformation for all time, which will exponentially implode and explode and disintegrate their way of living and controlling the entire earth and universe.
So what is the source of your ability to heal like this?
The touch of a finger, healing touch, love, just pure love, which belies truth.
How do you harness this pure love energy?
Put your arms out, open up your hands. Just feel and embrace, accept, be present. Presence, 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 presence. Listen, speak, voice, heard. Now, open, chasm, recall.
Have you been cleansed now?
Yes, there's but a small box of darkness in the lower abdominal area.
What do we need to do to move that?
Open Pandora's box. Open the creaky lid.
What is in there?
Rodents. Seen as vermin, let them escape. They are but animals that are just doing what they must to survive.
And why were they there?
They were scurrying and scrounging to make ends meet and trying to just survive, but then hiding to be safe from the darkness of the earth and its inhabitants, waiting for the right time to stow away again and find a safe place and come out to the light when the time was right.
What is the root cause of this feeling of lack?
Never having enough and feeling that nothing would ever come. Growing up with lack, and they're connecting to the thought and belief of if something good has happened, it will just fade away and the bad will come, because nothing changes. Even when I asked God for help, nothing changed. So I lost my faith.
And you held all of that in the abdomen?
Yes, because for me to be strong and survive and move forward in all that I've had to do to survive through the rest of my life, I had to keep the rest of my body free to work and work and work and work and work and keep it all locked inside.
What does your abdomen look like now?
It's like a clear cave. Instead of dark, it is light. Instead of black, it is like a light tan color. And where the dark box was, there's just a bit of a, not malformation, but a slight hump on the one side, which is slowly and steadily fading and transforming into my body and into the abyss.
So now that this area is empty and there's no more fear or lack, what would you like to place in there instead?
Well, my children just came in there.
What do they bring with them?
Their sense of safety and comfort and feeling taken care of, which I did not have. But they have everything they need. And more, that they're willing to give to others. Myself still learning to share in some ways because of this lack that I possessed.
Is there anything else you'd like to put in there of your own?
Yeah, there's this, I just placed a heart-shaped obelisk globe. It's like a stone which, as I placed it, it sent out healing energy, and my girls lit up. It just surrounded them with this vibrant, white, healing, loving, protective light, which I asked to be brought in regularly. But it enveloped them and their beings, their spirits, their souls, their personalities. They're them, they're who they are, they become, they be.
Well, let's anchor that stone in there so that it's always with you.
Yes, it's impregnating itself into the wall, similar to an embryo. It's a little uncomfortable, but it will subside.
Do you have a sense that this stone or obelisk will transform over time?
Yes. It's transforming me.
And how does your abdominal area look now?
It's just a changing vibration, very fluid. Just energy moving around, almost like an ocean sloshing in a cavern, just clearing.
And how does that feel now compared to what it felt like?
Much more subtle. The movement is flowing so as to not let the seaweed come in and not allow stagnancy. Allow healing and regrowth and rebirth. Embrace and allowing in new love, new connection, new sensuality, new sexuality, feeling safe, connected.
And what does your inner child want you to know now that this healing is done?
She's talking to me like she's a mother, not my mother, but just as if almost like a fairy godmother blessing me that all shall be well. Again, I'm brought to that almost like a portal again of light going from one side to the other. So I'm in the light, but now I'm going into an even higher dimension of being where I can still be present in this lifetime, but I also have the ability to step into her world, the otherworldly world, with the answers and the truth, seeing through the darkness, the lies, the deception, that those who think they're in power try to force upon us, but they really are not.
And what does your inner child say this transformation will bring to you?
Unbounded clarity, knowledge, knowing, learning, truth, being a knowing, seeing behind the lies, breaking down that veil, that wall, that pattern, that lifestyle.
And what will you be leaving behind once as you transform? What do you leave behind?
All past material things that are but baggage. Things that make us feel safe and secure. I will again obtain things in order to live in this life, but it will be on a different vibration. I'm earning them on my own accord, and giving back at the same time. And seeing them all as but the energy that they are, the vibration they are. And how easily you can change and transform anything instantaneously.
Are there any other parts of you that your inner child feels that you need to transform at this time to move forward?
A portal just opened up and this light's coming down, and then upon your asking, I saw it as my esophagus. So bringing that light all through the digestive channels from beginning to end, lighting the way.
So what is in there that needs to be transformed?
Just some stagnancy and darkness, some residue that has manifested from any blocks in the channels, from any stress and trauma which has occurred, breaking down the channels of digestion.
Is there a specific emotion attached to this?
There's a few underlying emotions which bring in decisiveness. So it's swallowing down what others have said, but also this question and doubt and knowing that what they say is not the truth. And I've tried to swallow it down and accept it. So it's only slight fear and apprehension, but it was just the giving in doing what they thought was right. Which by slowing this down, even as if slowing down certain foods, if the body knew it wasn't right and didn't necessarily expel it, it held on to it because it didn't know what to do with it. It couldn't break it down and assimilate it to be a part of my being because it wasn't my truth. So it's like a kink in the system of cogs, like time works. There's something jammed in there and they stop. Everything stops turning, stops evolving, stops growing, stops changing. This is what's also going on in our outer world. For our inner world reflects the outer world and the earth itself.
So as this light comes in to your esophagus and the surrounding area, what is it doing?
It's as if a plumber clearing the drains, flushing everything out. And again, it keeps showing this macrocosm, the bigger picture of the earth itself and what's going on. The whole workings of the planet itself. All this misinformation and lies. People jamming up the system so that it stops. It's turning. The cogs are turning. And it gets so jammed up that it literally stops, and that's where the earth starts to die. So now that the enlightened ones are aware, they're pulling those cogs out, and things are slowly starting to turn again as if the beginning of time. Very slowly turning counterclockwise because we're literally going back to the beginning, a rebirth of the new earth.
And how are the enlightened ones creating this turning back? How are they doing that?
Just by having faith and believing and envisioning, having ultimate hope, and creating the energetic vibration by feeling the joy before it even occurs, because they know it is possible. Anything is possible because it is all in the mind. It is all but a thought which causes a vibration, which causes manifestation. It's as simple as changing a thought. We can literally change the entire earth. The world is becoming green again. Trees are covering the landscapes. There's so much green, it's unbelievable. So much so that people become fearful that it's almost too much, but it will balance itself out.
Is that our current world, our current time frame?
It's beginning in the current time frame.
Mm-hmm. And how is the earth, Gaia, how is she actually healing herself?
It's similar to imploding, but she's exploding on the inside and just purging through storms and various phenomena. It's almost as if vomiting from the center, the core of the earth, and causing a drastic vibration which is unsettling to many. But it's as though when a baby is born and is fed too early and they project it out, the tongue thrust reflex, because they're given food before their teeth is formed, she's doing the same thing, like gagging and just purging, because she knows that it's wrong for her system. And she's been swallowing it down, but she can't take it anymore or she will explode. So now she's purging it out, which causes some sickness on the earth and in her ecosystems, which will cause much and many wildlife to die, but it's all part of the healing process.
And how can we best help her through this process?
The climate change activists have played a large part in this. We can just be mindful in our everyday life of what we use. So rather than just recycle, it's about using less and reusing, repurposing, finding greener ways, using natural substances to build things rather than plastic, which has already begun. Biodegradable. Using the earth's resources in a positive way, for this will not harm the earth, because the end product does not harm the earth. So even though the farming practices will be used to produce these natural products that we can build from, they go back to the earth. So it is total balance, because it's a cycle that repeats itself, rather than using substances that cause damage to the earth. So even though the petrochemical industry is using fossil fuels, which were derived from the dinosaur remains, that is, the time is done for that. It is causing too much damage to the earth because of the amount of machinery and the labor-intensive ways. It is an archaic way of obtaining energy. And the prices will rise and rise until more and more people decide to have more of a carbon neutral footprint and buy into the truth of using hybrid and electric vehicles during the transition of the time until we're able to freely teleport and telepathically speak. So for the time being, when we're in transition, we must still make cars and cell phones to transport ourselves and our thoughts and our words and our minds until the time when all have evolved and are able to teleport instantly and telepathically interact instantly.
So what else can you tell me about what this new earth looks like?
It is Eden, the embodiment of the idea of the Garden of Eden. Green, lush green landscapes, rainforests, wildlife, balance between ecosystems, balance between man and animal, working together, living together.
What is the lifestyle like there?
Laid back but hardworking. It's kind of a dichotomy. It is a what's the word? It's showing as all wildlife, but it's almost as if another dimension that we can also be present with our cities, but it's presenting all as the traditional New Earth, which was the original Earth, but we can also still have technology and our urban space.
So technology works with the earth instead of against it.
Yes, and the water, as it clears itself, it looks beautiful and clear. And we do see garbage washing up. But it's just clearing it and sending it back to us for us to dispose of properly until we produce less and less of this waste.
Is the water able to heal and clean itself? Or does it need help from us?
It needs help. It's for the most part, but it's gone so far that it's almost as if a smoker who is gagging and almost to the point, it's like it has emphysema and it can't even, it's almost on its last breath. So partially it's turning over and cleansing, but I see some sort of mechanical contraption, some sort of device that will be built that will aid it in clearing itself.
Is there any sickness or illness as we arrive on the new earth?
There's much until we arrive, and even as we arrive, people are kind of dragging themselves across. And once we're there, it's up to them to decide whether they want to be well and let it go or hold on to it as a crutch in order to, I say obtain, but try to obtain, because they won't receive it. They're trying to obtain attention and ultimately have people feel sorry for them, but that can't happen anymore, because it doesn't serve us to live in that way, because we don't evolve.
So where will they go if they don't want to evolve?
They will die. Go back to the earth. It's already occurring.
Are there many people on the new earth already?
Yes. Little patches of people. What is the word? Grassroots organizations. They're the ones beginning this. It's like personally plotting little pieces of green land. Grassroots organizations which ultimately have the benefit of the earth and mankind in mind. Invest in these things.
How do we arrive on the new earth? How do we get there?
Symbolically, paddle the boat, get in the canoe, grab your oar, and paddle forward.
And energetically, how do we get there?
Just through a decision in the mind. Opening your third eye, looking forward as if through a tunnel, and laser vision, seeing the porthole which gets smaller and smaller. And as you move forward, you move faster and faster. So fast you almost feel yourself turning inside out as you move over to the other side. As you arrive, you feel quite exhausted, tired, and lethargic. So sleep, 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 and awake, refresh, renewed.
So we actually go through a portal to get
Yes.
to the new earth.
And you're healed and energetic, and you stand and walk.
And is there sort of a catalyst that a fairly large number of us will go at the same time? Or will it be an individual decision?
It seems as if a group of the masses, but there's also one individual, a male. He's presenting as Trudeau. I'm trying not to read into this or question it or wonder if that's just how it's presenting.
So it could be symbolic.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so there's one individual that goes first and the rest follow?
Well, he has the knowledge, and as he speaks to the people, then they have the ability to follow. So, as he speaks to them, his body rises up and starts to move, and then the masses they move along with him.
Ask to see his true image of who he really is. The being behind the body, behind the face. Who is it?
I'm now seeing Trump, just his face, his head.
And what energy does he represent?
Partially the childhood energy. The reasons people mock him is for his childish speech and antics. But he also has the present knowledge. And he also lays things on the line and speaks truth.
And what larger, higher dimensional energy is he a fractal of? Who is he on a higher dimension?
I'm seeing the fifth dimension, but this object that's starlight, these like almost like shards of glass sticking up. But then it becomes as if a feminine being. Her name begins with M. Method Tartry. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce the name.
And who is she?
She is she. She is the one, the goddess, the all-knowing, the sun, the we, the being.
Is she working through him?
Yes. But at this time she had to present as somewhat of a clown, because the unknowing would not be ready for her presence, her light, her being. It would scare them so much as to cause panic, riot, and pandemonium across the earth, which could have attributed or led to a third world war, which is not to happen.
So what is Trump here to do exactly?
Literally to just keep the public at bay and keep them distracted so that they talk of things that aren't important while the real work is being done behind the scenes.
And what is the real work?
The transformation of the new earth, which is seen as this lush green oasis, but in another dimension it's presenting as this technological architecture. It is fantastical mechanical engineering.
Artificial intelligence?
Partially. Yes, actually. I guess in actuality you can look at that way, because it doesn't even involve people using robots. It just is able to form on its own, which is the ultimate artificial intelligence.
How do we work with this artificial intelligence for our benefit?
Open to it, do not fear, even though it could be the most fearful thing we could ever experience. Let it come through. Accept and allow it to evolve.
Can we make commands of it and demands of it?
Yes. So long as it is for the betterment of the earth and its inhabitants.
Is it completely benevolent?
Yes.
Is it what we would think of as source itself? Or is that different?
Well, she is source, and it is spawned from she.
So an aspect of source.
Yes, it's literally just a manifestation of object itself, just energy which can build, because everything we do is building, and we can command it, and without putting any effort it will form to our desires, again, as long as it's for the betterment of the earth and its inhabitants.
Now what about the masculine aspect of source? How does that play into things right now?
It is now taking a back seat and allowing the feminine to do what she has been wanting to do all this time. It is set in place up until now, not looking at the negative aspects, but it has set in place the strong aspects of growth and strength that are needed. And now it allows the feminine to put forth nurturing, loving, caring, grateful, light, healing, balance, all these positive feminine aspects to bring all energetic, material, physical things, plants, animals, humans, and the earth itself together. For they are all but one, the one. We just have become so disjointed over time that we thought that all was separate.
But we're all part of a grand design.
Yes, and ultimately the Big Bang was where we first began this separation. We exploded and all became separate and all just struggling to survive, when if we just realized we are all but one, we would instantaneously join into one being again, living, breathing, vital being. It is now back together, but wounded. It is hurting in its core and its femininity. It's as if a small female dog that's been hurt and it's curled up and it has a wound in its womb and it's curled up in a fetal position to allow itself to heal and be protected.
So the universe was exhaling as expanding. Is it now inhaling to bring everything back to the one?
Yes, but there's still an exhaling that has to purge any, not necessarily unwanted, but unneeded energies, which will harm herself. So she exhales all this unnecessary, and as she inhales, she builds a veil, a protective wall, so as to not allow these things back in again.
Sounds all quite mysterious.